Welcome to today's session on Azure Entra ID PIM, Privileged Identity Management. In this episode, we will explore how Azure PIM enhances security by providing just-in-time access, time-bound roles, and approval-based access to privileged accounts. Let's dive into how this powerful tool helps you or your organization to manage and protect privileged access effectively. We will start with the overview of Azure AD or Entra ID PIM for managing privileged access. Well, privileged identity management is a service that helps you or your organization to manage and monitor access to Azure AD or Azure resources. It allows you to minimize the risk associated with standing or permanent admin privileges by providing just-in-time access, approval-based access, and also audit and monitoring capabilities. In simple words, PIM will help you to make sure that privileges are not assigned to someone permanently. This temporary period will actually make your environment more secure. Now, what are the key features or some key points of PIM? The first one is least privilege access. Well, PIM reduces the number of users with standing or permanent admin privileges by only granting them a temporary access when needed. Just-in-time access will actually help you even further. Instead of granting a permanent admin role, access is granted for a specific limited time period. Approval and MFA enforcement. Well, if you apply this, it will require additional approval and MFA authentication to access critical roles. This adds an extra layer of security, where your user, if the user actually wants a privilege, the user cannot just click on it and take control. No. A cycle of approval and then granting the access must carry on. So the user will first request, and the approver will actually approve the request. Only then the access will be granted to that user. And the last one is audit and monitoring. Well, here the organization or the admin can track every privileged access request and also the role activation, ensuring compliance and accountability. Now we can focus on configuring JIT, just-in-time access, and role activation. We already know what JIT is, so let me give you a recap. JIT or JIT access actually grants temporary access to the user, or you can say on-demand access to a privileged role instead of providing a permanent permission or privilege. Mostly the definition is in the name, just in time. This feature actually helps reduce security risks associated with permanent or some old standing admin rights to a user. And it also ensures that the access is only available when truly needed by a user. Now, why you need to use JIT access? Why will you use it? Well, to reduce security risks by eliminating your permanent permission grant processes. You don't need it. And by also limiting the permanency of a resource permission, you can actually reduce the potential attack surface. In simple words, most of your users will have privilege for a limited period of time. When the work is done, those privileges will be revoked. Now, those users, even if they get attacked, they don't have the higher privilege. And remember, when the user stops working, let's say during their vacation or something, most of the attacks are happening at that time. So imagine a user is on the vacation with admin privileges assigned to that user. That is more risky. On the other hand, when a user is on vacation or not using the account, no privileges are assigned to that user. That makes that user a very simple user or employee of your organization with no privilege. It also actually reduces the attack vectors. Now, before we move forward, sorry for that, I hope you know what JIT stands for now. So let's look at some key feature of JIT, just-in-time access and role activation. Well, the first one is time-bound access, means there will be a time window. Now here the roles are granted for a specific time window that can be 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, or maybe like 8 hours. It depends on organizational requirement. On top of it, you can put approval and MFA request. So activation will also require additional approval, and it can also be enforced with MFA for even added security or an additional layer of protection. Next feature is least privilege. Here, users are assigned only the minimum access required for the task at hand. Yes, it depends on the configuration, but if the administrator know what they are doing, then the least privilege principle can be maintained. The next feature is audit and compliance. Every activation is actually logged, enabling easy tracking and monitoring of privileged access. So whenever a user requests for a privilege and then get assigned that privilege, every trigger or every action is actually logged. Now, what will be the impact? Well, it strengthens the security by limiting the opportunity for privilege misuse. This ensures regulations and compliance by maintaining detailed logs and reports on every privileged access or request. Now, what are the best practices for privileged access management, PAM? But what is PAM now? Don't worry, it's very close to the PIM concept. They're basically the same. Here, privileged access management is, again, a security strategy designed to control and monitor privileged account and access within your organization. Now, what are the best practices for applying PAM? Well, the same concept, that is, least privilege access. Here, you will ensure that users are only granted the permissions or privileges that they absolutely need to do their job. The next concept will be the same as well, JIT. So in this episode, we are doing the recap. JIT provides temporary admin rights to users only when they need it. On top of it, as a best practice, you can apply MFA that requires further authentication for privileged account, adding more security to your surroundings or your environment. Session monitoring and logging. Well, even here, you can track and audit all privileged activities to ensure compliance. Role-based access control can also be applied here. Well, RBAC will ensure that access is appropriate for each user, which means even to request or to get a privilege, they might need a specific RBAC assigned to them. Now, the admin will decide how to configure role-based access control, what will be the scope, and what will be the scope of users or the level or the privilege. The next is regular access reviews, or you can say regular audits. So at a set frequency, reviews and audits can be done to remove all the stale or unnecessary privileges to maintain a secure environment. This can be done if someone is auditing your environment at a regular interval. What will be the impact? Well, it will enhance the security. By following all the best practices which we discussed earlier, you can reduce the risk of inside or even outside threats or attacks on your Azure environment. Now we can move to labs. In this lab, we will see how this can be implemented, how to create this privileged identity management structure. All right, let's talk about PIM, Privileged Identity Management. And where can you find it? Basically, you can just search for PIM, you can use a short form, or you can just type the whole thing, Privileged Identity Management. This service is actually for identity governance. Now, if you click on it, you will have two major portions where you will do most of your work: tasks and manage. Now, to actually manage the PIM infrastructure, you should have some privileges. As you can see, this is my own account and I have global admin privileges. So I can actually change the roles, I can actually change the configuration and also assign or remove privileges from other employees or users. So if you want to manage the Entra roles, then you will go under Manage and then click on Microsoft Entra Roles. Over here, you can perform the task for assigning the role, activating it, means after review, you can activate the role. Once you review the user and you decide that yes, this user can actually use it for, let's say, 3 hours or 4 hours or whatever time it is, you can approve it. And at the end, you can also audit. So basic life cycle is assign, activate, approve, and audit. If you go back, and what do you mean by tasks? Over here, you can actually see your roles, like what roles are actually assigned to you. If I go to active roles, as you can see, my role is global administrator. Plus, you can see all of your requests. I don't have any request pending, so I will not see anything. Over here, you will see the request coming from other employees where you are the approver. So over here, you can decide whether you want to allow or deny the assignment. And over here, you can actually review the role assignment if you are also the reviewer. This will all make sense once we will create a privileged identity management role for someone. So basically, this is the dashboard, and this is where the privileged user will control and configure PIM in the organization. All right, now let's test how to apply privileged identity management. So before I actually configure any role here, let me go to my sandbox environment and log in as a normal employee, a user without any special privileges. All right. Now, as a normal employee, I can also go to PIM. And then here, I will click on tasks and click on my roles. As you can see, there are no eligible assignments for this employee. There is no active assignment or no expired assignments. So basically, this employee have no privilege. Now we can go back and act like the administrator. First, I will click on PIM. I don't have to do anything on the task
blade right now, I will go to Manage and click on Microsoft Entra Roles. Now I want to assign a role, right? Before I do that, I can also click on the roles. Here I will find all the possible roles in Entra ID. I will just select one. How about Help Desk Administrator? Let's select that. Now, do I want to assign this role to that user, this user permanently? No, not really. The whole reason about like PIM, why we are using it, is because we want to control the process of assigning a role. And then we also want to remove or revoke the role once the job is done to maintain the high security posture. So I will click on Add Assignments here. Now I want to assign this to just one user, that is demo user 1. All right, click Next. Here, it will ask you, do you want to make it active or just eligible? I just want this role to be eligible, and that user have to ask for the permission first. So I'll say eligible. I will not change the time period, but you can actually change it. You can adjust the starting and end time for the eligibility. We'll click on Assign. Now, if you want to change the behavior of this help desk role, this is an old user, so don't worry about that. And here we go. Demo user 1 is now eligible for this role. But if you want to change the behavior of this help desk administrator role, which includes the time period or for eligibility, does the employee actually have to provide some explanation or not? You can change it all over here. So click on Edit. And over here, you will see a lot of parameters to change. So activation maximum duration, I can make it like, say, 2 hours. On activation, do you want that employee to provide a multi-factor authentication just to make it more secure? You can do that, but I will just say no. Require justification on activation. Yes, I will keep it enabled. Require ticket information. Not really. I don't have a ticketing system. Require approval to activate. Yes, I will do that. If I don't check it, then the user can actually get auto approved. I don't want that. I want someone to decide whether to approve this request or not. So I'll do that. Who will be the approver? Well, it's me. So I made myself the approver. You can have someone else as well. Next. Assignment. Allow permanent eligible assignment, expire eligible assignment after 6 months. So 6 months, right now it will be there in the system for 6 months. And after that, even the eligibility will be removed. I can make it permanent if I want. Or you can also allow the assignment to be active permanently. So if I check this, then it will be permanent. Not a good practice. Expire active assignment after 15 days. So even though the time period was 2 hours or 3 hours, you decided this will be the maximum cap on it. Require multi-factor MFA, multi-factor authentication on active assignments? Not really. Require justification on active assignments? Yes. Now, once this assignment is actually activated, do you want to send notification to someone? You can configure the notification over here. I will keep it default. All right, and I will update it. Perfect. So this is what you will do from your side. Now you cannot move forward unless the user actually requests for the role. So let's go back on the employee side and let's refresh it. As you can see, now there's help desk administrator role over here, and the user is actually eligible to get it. So I will click on Activate. Now, The user can also decide the time. Let it validate it first, and then we can make changes here. But the maximum will be the cap which we decided, that is 2 hours, as you can see. It's still validating, so we have to wait for it. Perfect. So this user can actually change it, but the maximum will be 2 hours. And the reason is actually a compulsion, as you can see with the star. So I'll just say demo. And now we are sending a request. This request will be available for the approver. So now we can move to task because now we have to approve this request. So approve request. Eventually it will show up here. Here we go. You can select that and click on deny or approve. It's up to you. So I'm going to approve it. Again, I need to provide a justification for that and confirm it. All right, no more requests here. If we go back, as you can see, help desk administrator is now active. So this user now have help desk admin role assigned. So what can this user do? Basically, the task help desk admin will allow to do. That is reset the password, and that's pretty much it. All right, now let's check how to establish a review mechanism in PIM, Privileged Identity Management. All right, for that, you have to go to Privileged Identity Management. Okay, and then under Manage, we have already applied a role. I will show you that. So if I go to Assignments, specifically for help desk. As you can see, it is already active on demo user 1. So we need to create a review procedure. So I will go to Manage and then click on Access Review. I don't have any active access review running. So I'll click on New and I will call it Demo Access Review, AR. And the review will start on the current date. Frequency, I can say every week or every month. So it will be done every 15 days, let's say. And you can actually finish or end this review at a specific time, so I will not change it. Now, scope. All user and groups. Yes, you can say that. And which role you want to actually review. So over here, I will select the role, Help Desk Administrator. Which kind of assignment you want to review? Eligible or active? I want to review both, eligible and active. Who will be the reviewer? Well, I will be the reviewer, so I will select myself. Now, upon completion, let's say I reviewed it and I selected approve, means extend the eligibility, and this whole condition that the user is in is a legit, means there's nothing fishy going on, there is no security threat, and the eligibility is perfect. So if reviewers doesn't respond, you can say remove the access or approve access or take recommendations. I can say remove if I don't respond. But if I respond, then it will not be removed. At the end of the review, send notification to a specific person. This can be your senior, maybe your manager or someone. Then we also have some advanced settings. Require reason for approval. Yes. Mail notification, you can enable it. Reminder to yourself, you can also enable it. But most of this will not make sense because I'm going to access the review right away. So I'm going to start this review. Now, once you start this review, you will not see an active review in the next second. You may have to give it some time. So eventually you will see that there will be a new review policy over here, and it will initiate after maybe like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So give it some time. All right, as you can see, the review is now active. So let's go back and act like a reviewer now. So I will go to PIM and under task, review access. Remember, I am the reviewer, so I will get all the review requests over here. Click on it. And let's say I talked with this guy and also checked the ticket, and this person or this employee's reasoning is actually valid. I can say fine, and I can put a reason, and I can approve it. And that's it. Now it is approved. You can also check it over here for the roles, manage, access reviews. So this role is now approved. That's how you actually create a review, access review, and also allow or deny it. So I'm going to remove it now. And eventually it will be removed. And how will you remove the privileged role? Basically, you will go to roles, help desk admin, wait for it to scan all the user who have the eligibility or active roles. So this one, I can remove it. Remember, I removed the eligibility. Let's see. Now, what about active assignments? It will be removed as well. So now this user lost the ability. So if I refresh it, it's gone. So that is how you use your privileged identity management.
Welcome back from the lab. Now I hope you know that maintaining and managing PIM is not that complex. But remember, when you have thousands of users under your command, then managing all of that might look more complex, but still the PIM or privileged identity management practices will be applied. It's the same thing applied multiple times. Now, to summarize this episode, I will say that to increase the security of your environment, privileged identity management can be very beneficial. It provides a powerful tool or tools to secure and manage privileged access over Azure resources. By using concepts like just-in-time access, approval workflow, and MFA integration, PIM can reduce the risk associated with stale or standing or permanent admin privileges. This privileged access management, PAM, this practice can also help you to apply the least privilege methodology over your Azure environment. Now, thanks for joining me today. I hope this episode gave you a general idea of PIM, Privileged Identity Management. And it can actually help you to understand that temporary access is actually super powerful. And permanent eligibility must not be given to every user. So that's it for this episode. I will see you in the next episode. Take care.